Recognition.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For more than 40 years, the Hyde Amendment has prevented taxpayers from funding abortions through government programs. Historically, it has been included in annual spending bills by both parties, but recently Democrats voted to eliminate Hyde Amendment protections. Even President Biden previously said, those of us who are opposed to abortion should not be compelled to pay for them. But it would appear he and his Democrat colleagues have abandoned this critical position. With nearly 60% of Americans agreeing that taxpayer dollars should not be used to fund abortion, we must stand for life. Accordingly, I support H.R. 18, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act. Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committees on Energy and Commerce, Ways and Means, and the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 18 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House. With that, I yield back.
As the Chair previously advised, that request cannot be entertained absent appropriate clearance. For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I ask to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, I rise today in support of H.R. 18, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion and Abortion Insurance Full Disclosure Act of 2021. Earlier this month, President Biden released his budget, which does not include the Hyde Amendment, an amendment that prohibits federal taxpayer dollars for funding abortions through Medicaid. Hyde has been included in every appropriation package since 1976 and is a long-standing, bipartisan, common ground bill between Republicans and Democrats to protect the conscience of taxpayers. President Biden has consistently expressed support for the Hyde Amendment throughout his career, and I'm disappointed that his recent shift signals to the American people that he will cave to the political pressures of his left wing and force our tax dollars to pay for the eugenics of our nation's poorest individuals who are on Medicaid. We cannot stand for this and must codify Hyde's restrictions and taxpayer-funded abortions. Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Energy and Commerce, Ways and Means, and the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 18 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House. I yield back.
As the Chair has previously advised, that request cannot be entertained absent appropriate clearance. For what purpose does the gentleman from Kansas seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Madam Speaker, I stand today to voice my support for H.R. 18, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, which would protect the American people from a gross misuse of taxpayer dollars. I co-sponsored H.R. 18 during my first few days in Congress because I, along with the majority of American voters, believe that no person should be required to pay for abortions or abortion services. President Biden himself pledged never to force taxpayers to pay for abortions, and yet has broken that promise by failing to include the Hyde Amendment in his new budget proposal. Devaluing the life of unborn children has desensitized America. We should never use taxpayer dollars to fund abortion services. Instead, we should focus on life-saving resources that value the life of both the mother and the child. Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committees on Energy and Commerce, Ways and Means, and the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 18 and ask for its immediate consideration in this House. I yield back.
As the Chair previously advised, that request cannot be entertained absent appropriate clearance.
And to revise and extend my remarks.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Madam Speaker, Father, I believe that every life has value, and I'm proud to be pro-life. But whether you're pro-life or not, my fellow North Carolinians and Americans all across the country agree the government should not use taxpayer dollars to fund abortions. That's why the Hyde Amendment was created. The Hyde Amendment has saved 2.5 million lives and protected the conscience rights of Americans, all with overwhelmingly bipartisan support. In fact, Hyde has been renewed every year since 1976 under majorities and presidents of both parties, including President Barack Obama. However, in the most recent budget proposal, President Joe Biden chose to ignore precedent and the will of the people by excluding Hyde Amendment protections. This is a radical shift in policy. Americans should not be forced to violate their conscience to pay for abortions. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Energy and Commerce, Ways and Means, and the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 18, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
As the chair previously advised, that request cannot be entertained absent appropriate clearance. For what purpose